So tell us a little bit about how that connection is how that's so important.
Yeah, our entire business, we had the memberships at first, and we had passive income at first, and we had you'd get up, you'd work a couple hours, and suddenly you'd have 15 people join your membership, right? It was awesome. It was absolutely amazing. But we realized that to build true retention in your membership, or to build retention, or to build referrals in any kind of network that you're building, like for real estate agents or whoever, there had to be not just a connection with us, but a connection with community. There had to be a feel where they were connected to something bigger than themselves. So we have always called our memberships communities. Like, we want to connect every elementary librarian in the world. I have a website called ushistoryteachers.com. What do US history, how do they feel alone? How can we serve them? How can, not just by handing them a worksheet about Abraham Lincoln, right? But how do I make them feel important? How do I make them feel valued? And how do I make them know that if they do need something, we're the people that they need to come and get the help from? So we're always trying to pour that connection, pour that community inside of everything we do. And the community starts with the leader. Like, I'm the leader of the Flipped Lifestyle community. Jocelyn is the leader of the Flipped Lifestyle community. If we're not transparent, if we're not available, if we're not leading, then that's not going to set the example for everybody else to do the same thing. So when we go into our forums and I see 6 people have answered somebody's question before I could even log in that day, I know in the back of my mind, man, that's what I'm showing up. Now they're showing up, and now they're serving each other. Right. So everything we do is connection in our stuff. But it's not just about the knowledge or the information that you're selling, like on the
Oh, I
internet,
love
basically.
that, man.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Because as an entrepreneur, as a leader, you always have to lead from the front.
Yeah.
You always have to do it first. You always have to take the risk first. You always have to go for it first, and then people will follow. And
Yeah.
so whether it be building a traditional business where you have, people that you're seeing them all the time, or an online business, it really is very similar in a lot of ways, because you're still trying to build the community. You're still,
it's all trust.
It's all trust.
Yeah.
And think about it in this day and age with COVID and all the stuff that's going on in the world. Like, let's be honest here, man. We're doing a lot of stuff via Zoom today.
Yes.
So the connection has to bleed through. I mean,
and that's not going to go away just because
it's not
COVID
going away.
eventually goes away, and that's what we realized probably around 2014, about a year into our journey. We had built this business, and it was amazing. I mean, I can't explain how amazing 2014 was in our life. It was just bonkers that we were making money this way, And we had schools, man, all over the country. We had whole school, like Jacksonville School District sent Jocelyn a message, and they wanted to buy it for every school in their district. So all of a sudden, we're getting like a $10,000 purchase order, and we're like, "What is happening?" Right? This is just these opportunities were seeking us out because we had ranked in SEO and we had done all sorts of cool. And people would hear about us, and they tell the next library over, and then they tell the next library over, and then all of a sudden, the whole school district showing up to join. And it was really cool. It was awesome. We had a product-based business, and it was passive income, and it was awesome. And then one day at church, talking about community again, we were at church. We were in our small group. We were just hanging out. And when we first quit our jobs, everybody looked at us and said, "What are you doing? What is it? What are you? Why would you do that? Like, you're giving up so much." Everybody was freaking out, when we quit our jobs. But sooner or later, those "what are you doing" turned into, "Wait, what are you doing?" Right? And they started leaning in a little bit. And the first person to ever do that was Jocelyn's friend, Lindsay. She came up to Jocelyn after Sunday school one day and said, "Hey, I want to quit my job and homeschool my kids. Do you think I could make money on the internet too?" And I remember standing there, looked over at Jocelyn. I was like, "Well, yeah, it's not real. I mean, the system is simple. It's not easy, but it's simple." So we showed her how to create digital courses. We showed her how to turn things into recurring revenue. We showed her how to build community. We showed her how to do all these things, got her involved a little bit with what we were doing. And within a couple months, she made enough money where she felt comfortable quitting her job. And she did. And she stayed home. And so that was like 7 years ago. She homeschooled her kids. She still does today. So Lindsay quits her job, and we're like, "That's cool. Back to work," right? It was it kind of didn't register at first. It was just good for our friend. And then a few months later, after church again, I was trying to sneak through the back hallway to get to the nursery and beat the line so I could pick up the kids. And I ran into Lindsay's husband, and he comes up to me and goes, "Man, can I talk to you for a minute?" And I said, "Sure, man, I got a minute, but let's walk toward the nursery. I'm trying to beat the line," right? And he goes, "No, I need you to stop and listen to me." So I was like, okay. And I noticed he had tears in his eyes. And he said, man, I don't think that we have ever thanked you properly for what you did for our family. You know, our dream was to homeschool our kids, and we're doing that now. We just went on a trip to Florida over Christmas break, and I never could have afforded that on a single salary. But then something else is happening, man. You know, I've always had a dream about being a college professor. I wanted to go back, get my PhD, but I've always felt guilty to borrow the money to go get that. But now we're making enough money where I'm paying for it as I go, and I'm going to be a college professor. And he's a college professor right now today. And he was just, by this time I'm crying, freaking out. And he as we gave me a hug, and he leaned back and just said, hey man, you know, this really changed our life. And I just want to thank you for that. So when I got in the car that day on the way home from church, I looked at Jocelyn and said, you know, if what we figured out for us worked for a couple kids from Kentucky, you know, who were just school teachers, and it worked for them, you know, and they do their normal 9-to-5 working parents, whatever. Like maybe what we teach could work for other people. And maybe they wouldn't have to go through what I went through when I was trying to duct tape this thing together all by myself. And maybe we could help them get there faster. And that became the initial concept of what flipped lifestyle would become after my mom yelled at me, right? It became this thing where we help working families, real people, find and use their God-given talents and experiences, the wisdom that they already have, to go out and serve other people in their own memberships, in their own communities. Fast forward, I end up reaching out to Pat Flynn and telling him our story, and he has me on his podcast. And right about the same time, we launched Flipped Lifestyle, and he was so gracious and helped us kind of roll that out. And we had like 120 people join our community, like the first week that we opened it up on the first webinar. And man, that thing took off, and we've been, you know, running around the world changing lives ever since, man. So, you know, it just goes to show you, if you just keep putting yourself out there, Daniel, it doesn't matter where you are, what space you're in, just keep putting yourself out there, and the good things will eventually come back.
What a wonderful story from the bottom to the top, you know, and I love to watch people become successful. I love to see people create great lives for themselves. And what a great story to build a great family, to build a great business. And then at the end of the day, because, you know, everybody thinks, look, I mean, I've been financially independent for a lot of years now. But there's nothing that juices me more than helping somebody else win, helping somebody else have success. Because I believe that progress equals happiness. I believe that all of us, I don't care how much money you have, all of us get down and depressed when we're not making progress, man. When you're not using the God-given talent that you're talking about, you're not using it, when you're not getting up and trying to apply yourself, doesn't mean you're always going to be successful. Doesn't mean you're always going to have a win that first time. You know, you're going to suck in the beginning. You're going to have to duct tape shit together, man. You're going to have to make
the goal
things
is
happen,
to suck less. That's the goal. Just keep sucking less.
The goal is to suck less, man. I love that. But we're all going to not be great at stuff in the beginning. And so we got to allow our efforts to have time to compound. And that's the beauty of what we're seeing right now. We're seeing from 2012 to 2021, a complete amazing business and life, because you stayed the course, man. You didn't give up. You kept, and like you said, you kept putting yourself out there. And so thank you, man, for inspiring me, for inspiring the world, because the world needs more great people like you, Shane and Jocelyn. And so, man, what an incredible story. Thank you for watching our short clips on Alonzo Academy. If you'd like to watch the next short clip, click here. If you'd like to watch the entire podcast, click here.